Why don't people just own it? Why do they have to throw animals under the bus? Why do they have to cause more suffering? It would never happen, but if I felt like I wasn't able to continue eating a vegan diet, I would just shut the up. Hey guys, it's former nutritionist Paul. My lovely friend Selma sent me a Guardian article. She was very annoyed at another anti-vegan piece. You know, I've responded to the Guardian before. I'm not sure who they're guardians of. Certainly not the animals, certainly not the planet, certainly not human health. I think they're guardians of those that stand to profit from the immense suffering and killing of animals. The So, yeah, let's see what they've got to say this time. Abuse, intimidation, death threats, the vicious backlash facing former vegans. Well, that's just trying to paint vegans in such a horrible light, isn't it? You know, I don't abuse people, I don't intimidate, I certainly never offered anyone a death threat. Well, actually, I used to do all those things before I was vegan, and I think the point is that once you become vegan, it kind of opens you up, and then you have more compassion for everyone, you know, in general. Obviously, you get the odd person who's a bit OTT, but I don't blame them for being angry. Animals are being murdered against their will for no freaking reason whatsoever, other than how their dead bodies taste in a sandwich. So they've got a right to be angry. This stupid face, vegans are attacking me because I cared about animals, and now I don't care about animals the next second, weirdly, because I'm a bit strange. Going vegan has never been more popular, but some people who try it and then decide to reintroduce animal products face shocking treatment. Well, no wonder you don't try not abusing the wife and then deciding to abuse the wife and smacking her in the face, and you don't expect people to be like angry at that. What? In 2015, Freya Robinson decided to go vegan. For more than a year, the 28-year-old from East Sussex did not consume a single animal product. Then in 2016, on a family holiday in Bulgaria, she passed a steak restaurant and something inside her switched. I walked in and ordered the biggest steak I could have and completely inhaled it, she says. After finishing it, she ordered another one. Well, I hate to think of the state of her a-hole with no fibre, being so used to fibre, suddenly having no fibre and trying to push this horrible, immovable object out. Must have been very painful. It doesn't sound to me like she decided to go vegan. It sounds like she decided to not eat animal products. That doesn't make you vegan. It's part of the vegan ethos, not eating animals, but it's also not wearing them, not going to circuses and sort of using them for entertainment, so basically exploiting them. It's not just about diet. If she got it, if she cared about animals, she wouldn't be able to go in and suddenly eat 2 big slabs of dead animal. If you'd like to optimize your health, body shape, or performance with a vegan diet, then please check out my new online nutrition course. I've launched it at a low introductory price. It contains 14 videos, 3 cookbooks, and masses of downloadable and printable PDFs, including a complete nutrition chart for all ages and stages of life, so you can be sure that the whole family is thriving. For the previous year, Robinson had been suffering from various health problems, low energy levels, eat a bit more, your numbskull, brain fog, get the correct nutrition in you, painful periods, dull skin. Get some nutrients in you, woman. It's not hard. She now believes as a result of her diet. The trouble is that most people, you know, this is the trouble, isn't it? Vegan diet, that tells me what you're not eating. So you could be eating like vegan donuts, ice cream, Oreos. You can be drinking like Coca-Cola, beer. That's going to have a very different health outcome than a whole foods vegan or whole foods plant-based diet where you're eating lentils, quinoa, berries, kale. You know, the former is giving you a load of negatives that harm you, and you're displacing the latter with all the nutrition that protects you. How many people eat a healthy, nutritious, proper diet? Hardly anyone I know. She says her decline was gradual and almost went unnoticed. Because it's not an instant depletion, you don't suddenly feel bad the next day. It's months down the line. Well, I've been vegan for 9 years and I feel freaking amazing. Of course, I eat a nutritious diet. In just over a year, the balanced plant-based food she cooked daily from scratch using organic vegetables from the farm she worked on and legumes and nuts for vital protein had, she felt, taken the toll on her body. I think you'll find that if you look at the data, vegetables, nuts and legumes are life extending, you freaking simpleton. I bet that balanced to her meant some of these healthy foods which she's mentioning, and also loads of the unhealthy stuff which she doesn't want to quite mention. You know, that's most people's definition of balanced. I notice she's not mentioning whole grains. So, you know, where's your energy coming from? She didn't mention fruit. You know, tropical fruits, dried fruits, whole grains. This is where the bulk of your energy should probably be coming from. And where's her omega-3? Ground flax, ground chia. These are seeds. She's not mentioning seeds. So there's one nutrient that she's probably missing right there because she wasn't intelligent enough just to add in 1 or 2 tablespoons of ground flax and chia. It's not bloody difficult. The morning after the steaks felt revelatory. I felt the sudden surge of energy. My face was glowing again. I remember leaping out of bed, and it was only in that moment that I realised I'd been slowly depleting my body of vital nutrients. Well, the thing is that Harvard University says that vegetables on average have 24 times the amount of nutrients versus meat. So what could you have been missing from, you know, that is in meat? B12. Did you take a B12 supplement? I notice you've not mentioned that. 2/5 of Americans are B12 deficient, and they're actually eating like tons of animal products. I've not actually come across, as a nutritionist, I've not come across a vegan who was B12 deficient because they know to take one. Why aren't you mentioning B12? Why didn't you mention that you supplemented correctly? Vitamin D as well. I mean, really, we only get enough vitamin D from the sun. Your average omnivorous eater only gets about 300 IUs a day from the dead bodies that they eat. We probably need, for the average adult, around 2,000 IUs to be optimal. So, not a vegan thing, it's an everybody thing. She says that days after the reintroduction of animal products to her diet saw clarity and ability to cope with stress return. Minor inconveniences such as dealing with a grumpy customer at the farm's market stall no longer seemed like a mammoth burden. Intense physical work on the farm felt less laboured. I'm a bodybuilder. I train for an hour and a half a day. I really don't struggle. And the amount of grumpy twats I have to contend with in the comment section, you wouldn't believe, but it doesn't bother me one little bit. Having operated at what she describes as 60% both physically and mentally, she was now realising what normal should be. No foods really as such are essential, so to speak. Nutrients are essential. We need enough calories, we need enough protein, carbohydrates and fats. We need enough essential vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids and essential amino acids. There's nothing in animal products that we can't better find elsewhere. And again, no one's dying of malnutrition. Everyone is dying of overnutrition, of things like saturated fat, trans fats, cholesterol, heme iron, the things found in animal products. In just over 75 years, veganism has grown from a fringe movement to a mainstream lifestyle choice practiced by millions globally. Thank God. In 2019, it was estimated that around 600,000 people in Britain were following a vegan diet, up from approximately 150,000 in 2014. This year saw the biggest number, more than 580,000 people sign up for Veganuary. Very good. Next year's likely to be even bigger. Yeah, it's going to grow and grow and grow because people are seeing the truth. We're seeing through social media the state of animals when they turn up to the slaughterhouse. You know, we're seeing animals on farms like already dead. Some of them don't even make it to the slaughterhouse. They turn up to the slaughterhouse battered and bruised, covered in blood. And we're hearing them scream in the gas chamber. And we're also seeing the success stories. People who truly stick to a whole foods plant-based diet and don't eat processed junk. You just look on my channel, just losing so much excess weight, treating and possibly even reversing chronic killer diseases that 75% of the West roughly will typically suffer and die from eating animal products and processed junk, including processed plant foods. A host of new vegan brands, some owned by major supermarkets, have made the once niche diet easy to follow. Thank God, the planet hasn't got time to waste. We need to all go vegan yesterday. The animals need us to go vegan yesterday. Thank God that there is some real hope now. It's really happening. And we don't need people like The Guardian just spreading this bull. Since its inception, the raison d'etre of Western veganism has been the reduction of suffering caused to animals. The core value, according to the Vegan Society, is to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals. Well done, you actually got it right. It's come to be thought of as a whole way of living rather than a diet. Well, no Well done, you idiots, for finally catching up. It's never been a diet. The diet isn't part of it. Adherents typically eschew leather, honey, and other things made from animal byproducts, but the food, all plant-based with no meat and no dairy, is what most people think of. Well, simpletons, that's all I've got to say. Studies have found a plant-based diet can be effective for losing weight. The Bride's Day out of New Zealand at the end of 2016 showed that people eating ad libitum as many calories as they wanted from whole plant foods lost on average 1 pound of excess fat per week. At the same time, their blood pressure, triglycerides and cholesterol all came down to within the healthy range. So not only can you eat as much of this food as you want and get like the optimal body shape, get the optimal like health as well. I wonder which diet is best. People do lose weight on a vegan diet, that's common. You can also put weight on if you want to, just look at me. That's quite common, says Tom Sanders, Emeritus Professor of Nutrition and Dietetics at King's College London. It could also reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes and some cancers. It can reverse type 2, not just lower the risk, also lower cholesterol levels and reduce cardiovascular disease. It can prevent 14 of the 15 leading causes of death. It can treat most, and it can reverse 5 or 6 of them as well. I don't know why there's any argument. It's amazing. Many athletes who have gone vegan praise the diet for rejuvenating their careers. In 2017, England striker Jermaine Defoe said vegan diet was partly responsible for his continued career in the Premier League in his late 30s. That's what I'm noticing. Into middle and older age, vegan athletes are sort of breaking away from the pack. They're remaining like injury free, or they're getting less injuries, or they're just in less pain in general because, you know, it's an anti-inflammatory diet. Although now a pescatarian, boo, he's playing for Rangers at 39. Tennis superstar Venus Williams said in the same year that her raw vegan diet had given her a new burst of energy and credited it with the return of her endurance and strength. Other sporting vegans include Lewis Hamilton, top F1 driver ever, is he? Imagine the forces that you must be generating, going at such speed in an F1 car. Such great muscular endurance. And ultramarathon champion Scott Jurek. Environmental factors strengthen the argument for a plant-based diet. Research suggests individuals can reduce their carbon footprint by food by up to 73% by cutting meat and dairy. Yeah, we'd like the planet to be able to support our children, so... Do you know what I mean? People say, why are you vegan? Is it ethics, environment, or health? I say, like, why are you non-vegan? Like, are you trying to kill yourself? Do you not want somewhere for your children to live? Do you like animals suffering and screaming and, like, dying, like, for the sake of a sandwich? Ludicrous. The popularity of plant-based alternatives is now big business. The UK's meat-free food industry is predicted to generate around 658 million in retail sales this year. Now, why is that fruit face looking so forlorn? I reckon there's some chief executive from the meat industry's face. But just as hundreds of thousands of the UK adopt veganism, many are giving it up. I bet it's not hundreds of thousands though, and face a fierce backlash from die-hard vegans for doing so. British freerunner and YouTuber Tim Sheaf, who made his name as a passionate vegan athlete but then admitted he had given up, faced a barrage of abuse. Little wonder. He just totally threw the animals under the bus, said that veganism is wrong because he wanted to feel good about himself. Unfortunately, what he did was to eat an extreme version of a type of vegan diet where he's mostly just eating like fruit all the time, not eating a balanced diet, not taking the correct supplements. He's admitted to all this. He did a stupid fast, ended up looking like a skeleton. He drank his own piss. But, oh no, veganism is bad for me. Meanwhile, Canadian fitness blogger Maddie Lindberger, who built up a huge following for her vegan recipes and workout videos and then admitted she was adding some animal products to her diet, was forced to stop posting about food due to the vicious backlash. You've started a channel based about foods that are kind to animals, and then you're showing pictures of chopped up animals. What do you expect? Okay, so now they go on to dissect another YouTuber. At first, Tommy Kelly felt his vegan diet was having a positive effect. The 41-year-old from Ayrshire, Scotland, made the decision to go vegan for animal rights reasons in 2016 during his recovery from a severe eating disorder. Take note, he was suffering from a severe eating disorder. I actually wrote him a nutrition plan before, and he just didn't want to eat it. He was telling me he was doing it, but his weight wasn't going up, so he obviously wasn't doing it. Don't blame veganism for your failures when you refuse to eat an adequate amount of calories and a good range of nutrients, from the range of different whole plant foods. Why don't people just own it? Why do they have to throw animals under the bus? Why do they have to cause more suffering? It would never happen, but if I felt like I wasn't able to continue eating a vegan diet, I would just shut the f*** up. I wouldn't say that veganism is wrong. I mean, vegan nutrition, if you eat the range of things, if you supplement the B12, the D3, it's the most healthful diet in the world. The Academy of Nutrition Dietetics, the biggest nutritional authority, says that a properly planned vegan diet is adequate for everyone at any stage of life and may confer health benefits if you eat whole foods. But yeah, if I had some weird crazy affliction that doesn't exist, where I suddenly thought, no, I do need to eat some dead bodies now for some bizarre reason, I would just slope off with my tail in between my legs. I wouldn't want to cause more suffering still. I've just remembered what my hero of bodybuilding, Dorian Yates, once said after he took the plant medicine ayahuasca. He said that he spoke to this higher power, and he was told that the only problem here in the real world is ego. And I can freaking believe it. Overseen by a team of specialists, including a nurse, dietitian and psychiatrist, he was consuming a high-calorie diet in order to steadily increase his muscle mass. I was consistently gaining weight, says Kelly. My health just seemed to be getting better and better and better. But around year 3, despite taking all the right supplements, problems began to arise. Kelly began noticing he was struggling to put on weight despite eating a calorific diet of grains, fruits, vegetables, proteins and plant fats. Digestive issues left him passing blood and going to the toilet up to 16 times a day. Well, get a gut test and find out what's gone wrong. There is evidence that for some people, foods high in lectins like legumes, grains and vegetables and nuts can damage the gut lining if eaten in higher quantities over a sustained period of time. Citation needed, show me the proof. What a load of nonsense. This whole lectins thing is complete bro science. The harmful lectins in stuff like legumes are destroyed when you cook them. They have to be cooked before you can eat them. The migraines he'd previously suffered a handful of times a year became daily and debilitating. My wife actually thought I'd had a stroke at one point. He says I was slurring my speech and had this facial droop. Animal products make you have a stroke, not fruits and vegetables. In January 2020, Kelly reluctantly made the decision to introduce ethically sourced animal products. How do you ethically murder someone? Under advice from his dietitian and wider team. They shouldn't be doing that. In the UK, dietitians have been told do not try to force non-vegan diets on vegans because there are shown to be health benefits from being vegan. All you need to do is make sure they're getting the correct supplementation, they're eating a nutritious diet. And I guess in this case, if you've got some kind of gut issue, probably caused from a long-term eating disorder, diagnose it and bloody treat it. They had become worried about his weight loss and suspected his decline was linked to his diet. No, it was linked to his up intestines. It was a choice that left him racked with guilt. I didn't want to do it because I was obviously really about the ethics, says Kelly. It took 4 to 6 months for me to even introduce eggs. Oh, even eggs? Saying that as though that's not so bad, is it? Knowing full well that every time you eat eggs, you're basically paying money for people to drop day-old male chicks into a blender and mince them alive. Forget that, did you? Shortly after he started eating local salmon, oh, please murder me, I'm from the stream down the road from you, it's absolutely fine, bite into my flesh. And oily fish, I think you'll find salmon is an oily fish, he noticed a significant improvement in his symptoms, which he says have totally reversed. Oh, I ate a bit of fish and magically I'm all better. Why didn't you eat all you're getting from fish that you're not getting from anything else is DHA. Why didn't you just take a DHA supplement? Fish get it from algae. You can eat the algae directly in this supplement. Hello? Now, having put on weight on an omnivorous diet despite eating fewer calories, he feels the best he's ever felt. Well, I'm glad that he's feeling better. And now that he's better, why doesn't he run some gut tests? See what's wrong with his gut, that it couldn't handle the healthiest foods in the world. Treat it, and then continue eating the healthiest foods in the world and dropping out the animal products that are killing him. Killing the animals and killing the planet. Just a thought. For the almost 5 years that Kelly was vegan, he was immersed in the community, organising vigils outside abattoirs, signing up to animal rights group Anonymous for the Voiceless, and undertaking vegan outreach under the name Tofu Tommy. The veganism kind of becomes your identity, he says. After introducing animal products and speaking about his experiences, Kelly was branded a murderer and received death threats from strangers. They lash out at everyone and call you every name under the sun. They're supposed to be compassionate, but they're really not. Well, I see why they would have more compassion for those that are getting murdered versus those that are getting harsh words said to them. However, I think calling non-vegans murderers is problematic. I mean, effectively they are. I mean, well, in law, the person that hires the hitman is as morally reprehensible as the hitman. So in effect, those animals are being murdered on their behalf. So effectively, they kind of, I see like why people are saying this, but non-violent communication, you have to really stick to the facts. And I think we need to say, oh, you're funding the killing or the murdering of animals. Death threats, no, that really doesn't help our case one little bit. I can't stand that. Again, I see why people get upset. And again, words are a lot less harsh than actually being murdered. So I get it. But no, that's not helping our cause. And but how many people do that? How many people make death threats? Like a tiny fraction, be it in the vegan group, in non-vegan groups. We're all humans. Some people are decent. Some people can be a right hole. And I think you'll find, though, on aggregate, vegans are much more compassionate than others because, they're seeing the plight of the animals. They want to stop that. For me, I was the worst person going. I was a complete a-hole. When I was a doorman, I came from a place of fear. I wanted to make myself seem big and strong, and so people wouldn't mess with me. So out of fear, I was this egoic, horrible, I made myself into kind of a monster. Having found veganism and realising if I don't want to harm a chicken I've never met, why am I okay with punching someone in the mouth if they're rude to me or aggressive or whatever? And now I hope never to lay my hands on someone as long as I live. Veganism did that for me. While veganism has never been so popular, it's a diet that defies the Western meat-eating culture. Research suggests that vegans face negative bias from non-vegans. No with one 2015 study finding that the only disparaged group viewed more negatively than vegans for drug addicts. Oh, you terrible people. You don't want to harm animals unnecessarily. You are the lowest of the low. Responsible messaging within the vegan community would keep people healthier and prevent many from feeling they have to turn their back on veganism, says Sophie Medlin, chair of the British Dietetic Association for London. This, she says, extends to advice around nutrition. There is a misconception that a vegan diet is nutritionally complete and provides all essential nutrients in adequate quantities. Well, it provides nearly all of them. You're trying to make it sound like it's difficult. Eat the range of whole foods, take a B12 supplement, take vitamin D in the wintertime. Hello? Vitamin B12, which is required for the production of red blood cells, is only found naturally in animal foods such as meat and dairy. So, actually, it's found in 3 or 4 plant foods we've since discovered. Water lentils, aka duckweed, springs to mind, but I prefer people to take a supplement, to be fair. But again, 2/5 of Americans are B12 deficient, so it's something that we all need to be looking at. One study found vegans have lower levels of B12 than both vegetarians and omnivores. What use are these blanket statements? Vegans have lower levels of B12 than omnivores and vegetarians. They don't if they take their freaking supplement. The risks of not supplementing on a vegan diet can be devastating. The risks of not supplementing on a non-vegan diet, B12 and vitamin D, can be equally devastating. What we're seeing now in the long-term follow-up of vegans compared to vegetarians and omnivores is that they actually have greater risks of fractures. No, they don't if they eat a nutritious diet and take a vitamin D supplement. For Chloe Reid, having to take supplements of B12 as well as iron, iodine and DHA and calcium contributed to her decision to quit. Well, as you can get adequate iron, iodine and DHA from a whole foods vegan diet, you shouldn't have quit, should you? Why does veganism work well for some but appear to have a detrimental effect on others? Because they eat a crack diet! According to Sanders, well, we all require the same diversity of nutrients as individual variation in requirements. There's not that much variation. We're basically the same type of hairless apes and needs don't vary that much. There's not that much individuality, except for the case where people have like an allergy or something like that. When a person switches to a plant-based diet, they eat a whole host of foods their gut might not have encountered frequently on an omnivorous diet, including grains, fruits, and other carbohydrates. One of the first things that changes when someone becomes vegan is their gut flora, and it may take a bit of time to settle down. Yeah, they've got pathogenic gut bacteria because of their previous diet, and this bacteria is killing them. 1% of the genes that control our health potential, like our lifespan, health span, belong to the human body. 99% belong to the bacteria that we invite to live in the gut, predicated on the foods we eat. So you are having like the wrong foods. You are having Bacteroides strains of bacteria that are pathogenic. Now, if you're eating whole plant foods, you're gonna make the Prevotella strains flourish. These train the immune system, they create vitamins, they create short chain fatty acids that we're gonna find out are gonna be really the bedrock of good mental and physical health. What does that tell us about the foods that are ideal for us? I wonder. Genetics play an important role in how effectively we can convert essential fatty acids, Medlin says. For some, it's genetically more difficult to convert the essential nutrients our body needs from plant sources into bioavailable versions our bodies can actually absorb and use. Some will feel well with less. So basically, most people require 1 or 2 tablespoons of ground chia seeds to get adequate ALA, the short-chain omega-3 that we will then make into DHA. If people are poor converters, they may need up to like 3.5 tablespoons, but that's not difficult, is it? Or the other thing is you can take a DHA supplement, 250 milligrams, and be done with it. No diet is a miracle cure. No, not a miracle cure, but a whole foods plant-based diet is proven to prevent 14 of the 15 leading causes of death. So it's pretty much a miracle cure, eh? It's as near as you can get. But when what you eat becomes a lifestyle and identity with a membership of community, people can be left feeling as though they can't change their habits without letting others down. Well, they're also letting themselves down. They're not going to have an optimal health or lifespan. They're also letting animals down that now have to have a knife in the neck so they can eat their dead bodies in a sandwich. And of course, if your whole friendship circle is built around people who share an ethos that it's wrong to harm others, then you start harming others, you're going to fall out. Like, what do you expect? I know that non-vegans don't really get it, but what I would say to them is like, would you sit next to someone who's eating a dog? Someone who's eating a cat? Would you like to sit next to them? Robinson hasn't looked back since that fateful stake in Bulgaria. She now identifies as an ethical omnivore. I now identify as an ethical murderer. Yeah, I only murder free-range people, so that's absolutely fine. She believes meat should be treated as an infrequent luxury rather than a daily commodity. Once a week is ample, she suggests. Oh, so it's so full of essential nutrients that we can't get elsewhere, but you only magically need to eat it once a week, and that will sustain you for so long. Magic. But attempts to debate this point with sections of the vegan community on social media often descend into abuse. No. Beneath the often vitriolic online war of words, the two groups may find that common ground still exists. No. The ex-vegans I spoke to all continue to be conscientious about what they're eating, examine the conditions in which the animals are raised, and consider the impact of food consumption has on the environment. No, they don't. They just eat any old They just eat any old crap. And however wonderful these pretend farms are where they're pampered all day long and they get hoof rubs and stuff, they all go to the same slaughterhouse. They found that the fight to restore their health does not have to completely compromise the principles that originally drew them to veganism. Well, when I look on all the ex-vegan YouTube channels, they start off eating a bit of eggs, a little bit of fish. I call these gateway victims, by the way. In the end, they're abusing their bodies with any old thing. Just look at Nikocado avocado. There's the health side, but there's also the planet side, Robertson says. And what cost can you really put on the planet? Well, whatever Nikocado avocado is earning from eating mountains of dead cows. Anyway, sort it out, The Guardian. You're not guardians. You're disparaging veganism. You're promoting the killing of animals, the destruction of the planet. I'm not really sure how you can live with yourselves. Now click this.